Hello everyone, glad to be talking here today in the stadium with Smudge and be back, so to speak, and start some training. So we've been getting 5 of the boys in each time to start training and that, and get back up and running. So it's great to be back in the ground. What we'll need this season is we'll need a lot of help from and support from the fans in terms of coming back when the season starts, and supporting the football club. We're in the process of signing a few players, so we've got 3 players that we've been talking to and that we've agreed terms with, 3 good players as well. That's been assisted by the help of Team Builder. So obviously Team Builder started a few years back with the club, and the fans have sort of a part of that in helping sort of the club in terms of structure. With Team Builder's help from last year, we're now able to retain a few of our players, important players and good players. So last year, for example, Team Builder helped in sort of the signature of Nathaniel Roturner, which is vital to get them players in to be successful. It just helped us last year build a very, very good squad of players, which you could see on the football pitch with the performance we've had. And what I'd say is that the Team Builder, with their assistance, what they did, and it was fantastic that they was able to assist the chairman, the vice chairman, the football club as a whole, to give us a squad which had strength and depth. So even speaking to some of the fans, they was really impressed with how we was able to bring players off the bench, and it strengthened the team or be as strong as the person was taking off. So I can't stress the amount that Team Builder helped us have a successful season in signing an extra 2 or 3 players. The work that Team Builder's doing and the committee members that they're doing behind the scenes and sort of the day-to-day activities, and then on match day, has now helped us retain some of that squad from last year. So a Ryan Beswick, an Aaron Ford, a Nathaniel Roturner, they've committed to the football club to continue, and we wouldn't have been able to do that without that sort of help and that support and structure that Team Builder brings to the club from a financial perspective. So it's fantastic, and it makes the difference of a club season of maybe being out of the playoffs and being in the playoffs, or being in the playoffs and winning a league, or being in a title challenging position. So that the work that Brian does and Andy and people around Team Builders is fantastic, and long they may continue. What I would say is that but behind that is the fans of the football club. So on a Saturday, their contribution and what they've been doing over the last 3, 4, 5 years, that's vital to sustain a club at non-league, and more now so than ever. So I just want to say, sort of like, the help that you guys have been putting in is vital to help me and Smudge, Tom, help the football club as a whole, and it's actually helped us get the ball rolling, I'll say, in terms of this new season, what's coming, and getting players signed on in a what I'd call a challenging time. So I'm just want to say I'm delighted, and fantastic. It's fantastic that the support that they give us, for us as a management team as well, to help us help us keep them quality players on the football pitch.
Like Andy said, I can't stress enough how important Team Builder has been to us in our first full season of management here at the football club. When you think of the likes of Nathaniel Roturner and Reese Honus, without the help of Team Builder, we would have never been able to bring those players to the football club, and you could see the impact that those players had on the park last season. So for me and Andy and Tom as a management team, the importance of Team Builder is immense. It helps us to delve into that transfer market just a little bit more, and obviously we still need your fantastic support again for this coming season. It's fantastic to be back into the ground. We want everybody to get behind us again like you did last season. Show your support for the players, show your support for the football club. Fantastic. And if you have anything that you can support us with, then definitely please do go through Team Builder. It will help us to delve into the transfer market, like I said, and strengthen our squad. It gives us a great opportunity on the football park when we go to play against other teams. And as you can see, the brand of football that we brought last season, we want it to continue this season. So we're asking you to support us again. We're asking for the help again, and any help that you can give to Team Builder that will help us with the squad will be fantastic. Must say that also, you know, the chairman and the vice chairman, the backing that we've had from them since the closure of last season has been fantastic. We're now starting to put things back into place for the upcoming season, and without their support as well, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we have planned. We have been talking very much behind the scenes, obviously myself, Andrew and Tom, to try and bring you another fantastic squad this season. So I'm asking for everybody to support us as much as you can, and anything that you have that you can support us with, we will be eternally grateful, and we'll try and turn that into success on the football park.
Just means we don't have to get Gaz Smith back on the pitch as well. Like last year, he nearly had to come back. So without your help, we would have had him on the pitch. So I don't want him on the pitch, definitely not.
Good evening, guys. Thank you very much for being with us, and I'm sure the fans will really appreciate the update you've just given. You've mentioned that you've offered deals to some players. Is it your intention to keep all of last season's squad together, starting with Andrew?
Yeah, most definitely. My mindset is that the team that we had bought into a way of a playing philosophy and a playing style, and I think that's vital that we keep the players at this football club, because the squad's done really, really well, to ensure that we can build on what we've done in terms of a philosophy of play, a style of play, how the club operates as an whole. I think that's vital to when you're building success. If you look at someone like Kings Lynn and Kettering last year, who did exceptionally well to get promoted. Kings Lynn kept the majority of their squad and was top of the Conference North, or in and around there, and the Kettering, who didn't, sort of like was down at the bottom. So we're eager to keep the squad together, because there's a fantastic group there, and it makes our jobs easier as a management team, but also it makes the job easier for the football club as well. And I think the fans sort of was delighted with the members that we've signed last year in terms of playing staff. So to keep them on board, we've done sort of off the job, if you like, in terms of retaining them. So that the majority of the squad that we want to keep, we've been in talks with the majority of the squad. They know the difficult situation at the moment, and would be trying to keep them all at the football club, because they was fantastic last year there, and not only as players, but we felt that we had a fantastic group of individuals inside the changing room as well.
Gary, how are the players feeling generally as a collective? You know, what fitness work has been done during lockdown?
The players have been, at the beginning of lockdown, the players were taking care of their own fitness levels. I know players were out doing runs and stuff like that and other fitness work. And since we've reached to this point now where the lockdown is easing up a little bit, Andrew's been doing sessions with some of the boys, you know, at 5 at a time, and he'll continue to do that in the build up towards whenever we get a start date, and whenever pre-season starts, it should give us a good head start in terms of fitness levels. So most of the boys have been looking after themselves, but we've now taken that out of their hands and given them the opportunity to come and use the facilities at the football club, which Andrew's been doing with them in the last week and a half.
We've spoken to you a few weeks ago, obviously, around the decision for Nolan Boyd. Obviously, you've had a little bit of time, really, things have progressed. But I just wondered really what your thoughts were now around that Nolan Boyd decision. Have you got your heads around it? And that's a question for both of you, really.
Yeah, I think we had to obviously it had to sink in first and foremost, and it wasn't an easy decision for us to accept, especially as we were doing so well on the football park. So it was a job that we didn't get to complete. We weren't happy about that, but obviously we've had time to sink in, and obviously, as you know, the pandemic and people's lives were probably more important than football at that given moment. So I've had time to let it sink in, and I've got over it now, and you know, ready to go again, feeling that excitement and that buzz again as the lockdown is beginning to ease and sports returning. So the buzz is still there. The aim is exactly the same as it was in the previous season, to go out and do well, and I'm sure that's what the fans want, and the players definitely want that as well.
Yeah, funny enough, I looked at the fans forum, the video and what you guys put together from last year, and one of the comments was on there is I said we'd be playing in the Conference North next season, and someone said, oh, that's a big statement in the background. So like part of me feels like, well, we was on course to play in the Conference North next year. So I feel like in a way, even though it's out of our control, that it's like a letdown for the fans, and a letdown for the club, a letdown for Bob and Steve and the committee who have invested big amounts of money into the football club and into the season, and that for me, that the club wanted to be back in the Conference North, and when you're sort of given a target and you're on course to achieve that target, for that to be taken away from you, that still burns. That's burning. From an individual point of view, like I can't, like I feel like I've wasted maybe, I don't know, I can't even quantify how many hours I've put into it, and with Smudge and Tom, but I've wasted that time for my family and made sacrifices, and it's time I can't get back with my two daughters, seeing them grow. Like the hours just spent on analysis or preparing coaching sessions and preparing for match day. It's not just, we don't just turn up and play. Like the hours what are going in is unreal. Like Anna Freeman, for example, the hours that she puts in. So like it's actually still burdening me quite bad, and I'm just going to be honest, like, and I don't know how they're going to operate with 21 teams in the Conference North next year. Not only that, like, but the time and effort that's put in. What's irritating me more now is that our league is like, it feels like we're not classed as football teams, that there's no importance to step 3 to 7. And I'm sad to say that, but the FA have demonstrated that, and I don't mind going on here and saying that as well, because when you've got steps, today the EFL have come out and said, oh, there's going to be promotions on points per game and there's going to be a playoff, and I know they've obviously got the finances to do testing, and then, well, what's going to happen with the conference? It's going to go on points per game. They're going to follow League 1 and 2. Then that's going to happen at step 2 in the Conference North and Conference South. So what are we different? Are we you know, there's a big sort of crisis in the world about equality, which is different, but there's got to be equality between football in front of the football pyramid. You know, and when they don't show that equality, it says to me, well, what do the FA feel about step 3 and 7? Have they got any feeling? Is there any importance to it, or are we just there to make up the numbers? Because there's a lot of players what have come from grassroots, what have gone on to play Premier League football, and it feels like that how they've rushed steps 3 to 7 compared to steps 1 and 2 and to League 1 and 2. It's like, well, we're not concerned about you. We'll just push off to the side, and that's how I feel. And Gaz is right about the safety of people. That's paramount here. But when the world gets back slowly to going, football's still going to be there, and yet we feel that we've got the brunt of it. And from a career point of view, I look at it and say, well, this is me and Smudge's like first opportunity at management at this step, and we're sort of ticking the boxes. And I know Tom's been in it a lot more, but for a career opportunity, it's like, well, if you do well, you know, you get rewarded with a promotion on your CV, and that's been taken away. And I don't know, I know I've spoke to Smudge about what that means for his family and what that means for our families, and what does that mean for people around and their families with the time and effort that they put in, and there's no consideration for that. I just feel we should be treated the same as the rest of the football pyramid in terms of the points per game, if that's the way they're going, and that should be reviewed as well.
Gary, I guess you echo that sentiment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, obviously, like Andrew said, we were on course and we had it snatched away. No fault of our own. We put a lot of hours, a lot of time, a lot of effort into making a success of our management careers and building a fantastic football team for Tamworth Football Club, and it's all been taken away. And obviously, you can't get those hours back. And you know, the achievement hasn't been reached, but we're still burning, like I said before, and the goal is exactly the same, and we won't give up the ghost. We'll continue to try and be successful on the football pitch whenever we get the date to restart, and we'll just have to go again, and I'm sure, you know, with the backing of the supporters, fantastic chairman and vice chairman and the committee and everybody that works for Tamworth Football Club, you know, including the media guys as well. You know, I think with that fantastic support behind us again, there's no reason why we can't go and try and achieve success again.
Are there situations from last season that you feel, as managers, you're able to learn from?
Yeah, I think we've learned so much in such a short period of time. Myself, Andrew, Tom, you know, we've had to learn to adjust to each other and adapt to each other's ideas.
I still am adjusting, just to let you know.
And adapt to each other's ideas, and it's worked for us, and we'll continue to do that in terms of the man management of the players. That's been a learning curve for myself as well. You know, you got to learn and realise that everybody's different. You build rapports, and you know how to deal with people on them levels. So in that sense, I've learnt a lot, and I'll continue to learn, and I think it will help me definitely going into this season. Some of the things that probably occurred last season won't occur this season, because we'll know how to deal with it or nip it in the bud before it reaches, you know, where it doesn't have to be. So yeah,
I think as well, like with a lot of times players, like we're in a society where like there's social media and that, and players are at the forefront and they get digged out. I look at the game against Needham Market, and me and Gaz spoke that straight away after the game, and we was at fault. Me, the management team was at fault for that defeat, without no questions, because we was at fault because what we did is we changed the team on when we was in a really, really good run, and we changed too many players in that game, and we affected the team dynamics, partnerships, maybe what was on the pitch and working really well at that team. We thought we'd rest some, so it's about learning from that. I look at the Peterborough Sports game. We've just beat Solihull down here 6-2 in the cup, and then we would have scored an hat-trick, but then going to Peterborough Sports away, where the pitch was poor that day. It's a different style of play you might need. You know, it's a different personnel. So on reflection, I look at the Peterborough Sports game and say, we're at fault for that. We've got total responsibility. The first person that we've got to look at is when you lose a game is not the team, because the team don't go out there to lose. And we've got a great group. Our group graft. They graft in training, they graft on the pitch, and they carry out the tactical instructions that we give out. So a lot of times it's a case of what did we do wrong first and foremost, and pick them moments out to improve on them. What I will say though is there's a lot of good things that we did, and sometimes you've got to go with your instinct and passion and desire and energy, sometimes even though, and back your players, because sometimes the players feed off that. So I look at Royston down here, and there was tremendous, the players, and they ran every blade of grass. So we're doing a lot of good things, but it's about picking and sort of tweaking without changing. I'm quite adamant about that in terms of we're doing a lot of good things and processes, and it's not to keep changing it, it's to add slightly to it. And you're going to make mistakes, and I think part of the learning process and making you a better person and a better manager is making the mistakes. I think that's a process you've got to go through, and it's damage limitation within them times, and accept the failure or the mistake and say, right, it was your fault, this is how you do it, and continue.
Do you feel that the season will start as it normally would do in August, and if so, are you arranging friendlies as we speak?
We still don't have a start date, an actual start date. We're hoping that we will get going as normal sometime in August, hopefully. We have to wait for the powers that be, obviously, to make that final decision. In terms of friendlies, we had got some in our mind penciled in towards the back end of last season. Some contact has been made, but obviously we can't even announce a date for any friendlies until we actually know when we're actually going to get going. So we're just waiting, and obviously we'll do everything that we need to do in the meantime and build it up until whenever we're ready to go.
And finally, you've mentioned that you've resumed some training already with kind of a 5-to-1 ratio, and how are the players responding to that, and how do you feel that it's actually going?
Well, what I do is obviously players are in a time where what I'd call off season, in terms of there's not contracts been agreed yet, or some have obviously we spoke about, but so what you've got to do is you put the session on for the players in terms of, lads, we're going to train twice a week. I'm going to have a group here and a group there, and then it's sort of a first come first serve. Obviously people they've got to work in this time, so some players have gone out and got other jobs and stuff like that for their families. So it's about working around the players. So for example, a couple of players around me and said, can you do a Wednesday session yeah, no problem, we can sort that out. So it's about sort of like prioritising around the players' needs, and sort of players have been really good. So we've had now to date, that's 12 players what have attended, and if you think about, we've only been doing it sort of like 10 days to 2 weeks, to have that many players shows their commitment. I've sent out an off-season programme, a detailed off-season programme now, because I personally feel that the season will start around September. That's just my own personal feelings with stuff that I'm hearing about the plans to be 25% capacity of fans at stadiums, depending on their capacity, or a cap on numbers. So I know that the leagues are working hard with the FA to get non-league football up and running, and with that, I think with the social distancing timeline, if you like, if we keep the deaths hopefully really low and that keeps improving and the virus goes, that it might be around September time that we have a start date to start the league. So, but the lads have really bought in, and I want to say as well that our lads have been tremendous. I mean, I've seen some of them sending out videos of runnings that they do. They're participating in the off-season programme that I've sent them out. Not all of them, because some of them have got to go and work in this time, but the lads are trying to get to the training ground. And what I will say is that we were successful last year, and there's a lot of clubs out there what are trying to, I'd use the word decimate a team. I'll use people like Bilal Yarif, who's getting constant clubs contacting him. Not many people was interested in him. He's come to Tamworth Football Club. He's improved as a player, and then next minute, you know, teams in our league want to take 5 and 6 players. What I'd say in a difficult moment for footballers at whole. And when teams do that, I'm thinking sort of like about building on their own club and the players, the squad, what they've got there, rather than trying to sign 6 players from one team, what did really, really well last season. We put a squad together which we've grafted, and what I will say is the lads have shown great loyalty for the football club, of turning down offers which are possibly more than what they're on, and showing a loyalty to the football club. And that's what I mean by about some of the players that we've got here, not as players but as people, that they want to stay at Tamworth Football Club. They respect the management team, they respect the programme that we've put in place, they enjoy playing for Tamworth Football Club. And I just want to have a shout out to the players. That, for me, that's tremendous, because in the current climate, a lot of players just go for money and go for the most what's on offer. Our players haven't done that this year. Our players have stuck around when the last month or 6 weeks that teams have been ringing them constantly when they're out of contract, trying to sign them, and our players are holding on. So like, the players aren't just attended training, and we've tried to put training sessions on to keep them engaged and take time out of ourselves for the football clubs, where we've got a love for it, but the players have equally shown that sort of commitment to the football club without signing contracts, but a commitment by not taking ridiculous offers. And some clubs will do that. That's what they do to sort of decimate your team. And I know we've been successful, but it just aggrieves me that some clubs weren't interested in these players. We've put the time and effort in to build a squad, have been successful, and not just random, but sort of strategically, and that's worked. And teams are trying to decimate that, man. It just leaves a bitter taste in my mouth that teams will try and do that to you when you've been successful. And just a shout out to the players that they're showing that commitment to the football club.
Thank you, Andrew. Gary, is there anything you'd like to finish off with?
Yeah, just once again, just hope everybody stays safe, everybody's families are fine, and we look forward to your support again for the season up and coming. And like I said before, if there's any help that anybody can give to Team Builder to help support us, then that would be we'll be grateful for that again. And I can't wait to see everybody and for us to start kicking football again at Tamworth Football Club.
I wanted to give you a hug as well, Kev, but the social distancing, I'm sorry about that. And the rest of the media team here as well, especially Rich as well, who's been working tremendously hard.
I was actually just going to finish off by saying it's fantastic that we are all here around each other again. It's a little bit weird that we are all 2 meters apart, but you know, it is some kind of normality to be back involved with doing media duties, and you guys turning up here and giving a conference like you have. It's fantastic. It shows that we're on the right track. So long may that continue, and thank you very much for your time this evening.